This is episode 107 for August 15th, 2017. On the episode, the dads change up the format and talk all news. We cover Fallout 4, Disney breaking up with Netflix, the solar eclipse, and a whole lot more. Next on Legion of Dads.
Dad's home.
Hi, Dad.
Lord of the manor, king of the castle.
Well, that seems appropriate.
I am a dad.
We are dads.
We are many. We are one. We are the Legion of Dads. The Legion.
Dads.
Hello.
We are the Legion of Dads.
Join us.
The Legion of Dads.
An entire legion.
Great, Dad.
We are the Legion of Dads.
Daddy-o.
From now on, we'll be known as the Legion.
So we are many.
We acknowledge this is an appropriate metaphor. We are Legion.
We are the Legion of Dads.
You are not alone. We are all in this together now.
Hello and welcome to the Legion of Dads, a show for the modern dad. We talk movies, comics, video games, and advice on how to be a great dad. I am your host, Wyatt Cagle, and with me as always, my co-host, he is the father of two, Kenneth Dupuis. Kenneth, how are you today?
Hey, Wyatt. Hey, Legion. How's it going?
And we also have father of four, Richard.
Hey, Legion, what's up?
Today, gentlemen, we have a lot to get through with our news of the week. Kenneth, talk to us about one of my personal time vacuums of the past couple of years has a Game of the Year edition coming out.
Yeah, basically Fallout 4 came out in 2015, and they are coming out with a Game of the Year edition. It is going to be up for pre-order right now. Comes out on the 26th of September this year. What's really cool about it is that for all those gamers out there that missed the quickly gone pre-order of the Pip-Boy edition, which is like the $99 version, or I think it was actually more at the time when it came out. It's sold out really quick for like every platform, but the Game of the Year edition is seeing a resurgence of that edition. And so for you guys that aren't really familiar with the Game of the Year editions, it's just usually the game re-released, but it's been bundled with all five or six of its DLC packages that have come out in the time between the game is originally released and now. So you're going to get that. If you get the Pip-Boy edition, you're going to get the Pip-Boy that it's wearable. You can use it with your I believe your Android device or your iPhone. There's an app you can download and some other little bits and bobs too. But I just thought it was really cool. I wasn't able to grab it at the time it came out because pre-orders went so fast. But if you're really into Fallout, I'm still playing Fallout 4. I haven't beat it. I've got all the DLC because I bought the season pass. But it's just it's a huge game.
Yeah, I haven't finished it either. And the fact that you were like, oh, it's 2015 that it came out. I'm like, really? I feel like that came out like 5 years ago. And I just still haven't finished it. It's so dense.
And they also made it kind of a bigger sandbox when just recently for both consoles, Xbox and PS4. I play on the PS4. They released the modding system that they'd had on PC for a good while, which allows you to do things in the game that you wouldn't normally be able to do, or things like that. It kind of disables some other saving features or story features, but you can do a lot of things with that too. But that's just a free download you can get off your, if you're on Steam or you're on either of the Xbox or the PS4, you can download that as content for free.
Now, just fair warning for anybody that gets into this. Kenneth, what would you think? How many hours of gameplay are we talking? Because we're talking hundreds of hours of gameplay.
Oh, yeah, most all of the DLC, except I think for one of them, all of them are big story add-ons. I think one of them just lets you have a little more options when you're building settlements or things you can craft. But just without any of the DLC, the game's pretty large.
Yeah, no, I have the boilerplate basic. No, I think I have like one add-on, but and I haven't finished it. It's just too big. And then there's also, like you were talking about, that modding system. You can build your settlements and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's one of the biggest. I don't think it really compares to like Skyrim or Witcher on terms of like how big the map is and how many things you can do, but it's up there in, I would consider it to be one of those same kind of demanding games. But, I think you get a lot of bang for your buck here. Now, if you're not into this Game of the Year edition, if you don't even want to spend $99, I think you can get the original version of the game for like under $20 right now. That doesn't include any of the DLC or anything like that, but you just want to try it out. I think you can on Amazon get it for like less than $20. So that's a pretty good deal right there.
So, and this also means that we'll get a Fallout 5 in about a year, probably.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this game made a lot of money for them, so hopefully.
Moving on, we have another classic going away, it looks like.
Yeah. Have you guys ever been on the great movie ride at Hollywood Studios?
I have not, no.
I have.
Okay.
I have. We had a great experience. We took our family just a couple years ago, and the great movie ride is actually the one that isn't that the one where you go through like the Wizard of Oz and maybe the Old West
Yes.
and Aliens?
Yeah, basically it's a ride that you sit on.
My wife was, you've got a little tour guide driving you through the ride. And,
Right.
My wife's holding my son, my youngest at the time, Colin. And it was the Old West part when they hijacked the ride and they're blasting their guns. Well, Colin just peed all over my wife. Like he peed through his diaper and everything. So it was just one of those Disney moments, Disney trip. And we hadn't even gotten to the alien yet. So it was just funny to me that it was the Old West that scared the crap out of him.
Well, why kind of brought this up for the show today is there's for a couple of reasons. First off, it's going away. They're replacing it with some Mickey Mouse ride, like it's racetrack ride or something like that. But this, has been at Hollywood Studios since like '89.
Well, and that's I'm looking at the link that will be in the show notes from Slash Films, and somebody filmed the ride in 4K, so that this is fairly recent. If they're filming, if a consumer grade camera is filming it in 4K, and I'm just thinking that I'm looking at it, and everything in there is what I would consider really old movies. Nothing. I mean, it definitely falls into the classic, quote unquote.
Yeah, and I think if they updated anything, it was probably the section at the very end where you're like basically looking at a movie screen and there's a bunch of clips from movies that they play in a little montage.
Right, but
and
even I think those, I'm watching those. I'm kind of like Some Like It Hot, The 10 Commandments,
right.
Good Morning Vietnam. And I'm kind of like, do kids know these references?
Well, I think they've constantly updated that over the years. I mean, I think there's a Force Awakens thing in there, but as far as the animatronics, the Disney Imagineering stuff, I mean, there's stuff from like James Cagney in there, Wizard of Oz, Mary Poppins, these kinds of things, old Tarzan that probably kids don't know these days, but I think that, hopefully most adults at least know who it is. But, I think it's one of these.
The one that I've seen so far, I'm watching this thing. The latest I've seen is The Matrix, and that's 99.
Well, I think it's one of these great Disney rides that has, these animatronic characters. They're actually, in some cases saying lines from the movies of that actor, or they've got someone that sounds just like them. But I think it was a pretty unique ride back in the day. And I still think it's a unique ride because we just rode it probably at the beginning of this year when we went, and we were just like on a whim went. And so it turns out that like good thing we did, because we would have never been able to go on it again now, because I think actually the day we're recording is like the day they're closing it down. But the alien part is really cool. It's got a Raiders of the Lost Ark part, which is really cool. But I think it's actually a pretty unique ride in terms of like where movie studios and theme parks and licensing has grown into these monster conglomerates today that everybody keeps their IPs so separated that this is kind of one of those rides where like there's just this huge mix of like all these different IPs from different non-Disney owned entities that I don't think we're ever going to see anything like this again.
That's a very good point because you're right. There's like, we're not going to see this again in our lifetime because everybody would be like, oh, no. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later about Netflix and Disney. But like everybody wants to silo. Everybody wants to put everything in their own little camp.
Yeah, I think the real shame is what they're replacing it with. I don't love the Great Movie Ride. I mean, it's fine. It definitely, it's got its nostalgia feel, especially if you've been to Disneyland before or Disney World. But to replace it with, this new Mickey, which isn't the Mickey we all grew up, knowing and loving, but this new just Disney branded, just in my opinion, Mickey garbage is kind of a shame, especially of everything they own of all the IPs, everything they have access to put this Mickey garbage in its place is a real shame.
Yeah, my wife and I are in the same boat with this version. This isn't the Mickey we really enjoy to watch.
It's not Steamboat Willie. It's
no. I think the animation is what it is, and I I commend the guys for the animation, but it's just not what I want out of a Mickey cartoon. But yeah, I agree with you that it's a shame that this is going away, but it could get to the point now where it's costing them a lot of money to just keep it open because you got these animatronics, you're licensing all these voice actors and some of the cases the actual actors that were in the movie and the licensing fees for the IPs. I mean, who knows what they're paying to keep this thing alive?
I get that. Just replace it with something better. So you got Star Wars and Marvel at your fingertips.
Well, let's go down that path. Kenneth, what would you like to see other than this Disney ride? What would you like to see them? What IP that Disney owns that wouldn't necessarily cost them a lot of money? What would you like to see there?
Some more Avatar.
I said Kenneth.
Some more Pandora.
I haven't really thought about that, to be honest with you, Wyatt. But they've got Star Wars Land coming already, so I wouldn't say Star Wars. They're doing a lot of stuff with Marvel. They just changed over Tower of Terror with Mission Breakout for Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's a shame too, because Tower of Terror, like the story was whatever, but that's what that thing was built for. I can't imagine. Have you been on? You've been lately. Have you been on the Guardians ride?
No, I went right before it opened, so I haven't been on it yet. But I would have. I don't fault their choice for trying to make it something that's inherently Disney.
Yeah.
But I'm not crazy about what it is. But I still think it's odd because Hollywood Studios is all about Hollywood Studios. It's about other movies. I mean, you've got Disneyland for Mickey and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I would have just loved to have seen them update it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it does seem to, that ride does seem to really put in the nostalgia and the magic of movie making and stuff like that. And it would have been nice to have some place to celebrate that.
I completely agree. Just update it for a little bit more modern. Put some more Star Wars in there. Think that'd be cool.
It could still be a shill for the Disney films, but give us something. Well, Richard, what do you think? What would you like to see there?
Well, now Kenneth's got me sold on that updating it idea. Just of all the. What's the newest? I think the newest thing that's physically on that ride is Alien, and that's 30-something years old.
Nah, Raiders might be the newest.
All right, well, 20.
Well,
still 30-something years old.
We're talking 80s here. There's nothing even from the 90s.
Yeah, I think there's been so many great movies in the last 20 years. Certainly, you could squeeze those in.
Of course, now a lot of those movies have had their own rides of some form or another. Just like what Kenneth was saying, they do seem to just focus like, okay, we're gonna have the Despicable Me ride, we're gonna have the Walking Dead ride, we're gonna have the Fast. and the
Indiana
Furious,
Jones
we're
has
gonna
his
have the
own
Indiana
ride
Jones.
now.
Yeah, the Aerosmith ride.
Hey, that's a fun ride though.
It is a good ride. I literally I think that was the first ride we rode at Hollywood Studios, and they were like, oh, leave your hat or whatever. Well, I left my hat for sure, because that ride was honestly one of the best rides at like Disney. Just, 0 to 60, super fast. And I love Space Mountain, but that one is right up there. That was real good.
Yeah, I'd put it on par with that and then Everest are my two favorites.
Okay.
But I would have loved to see them just, some of these things like Westerns aren't that big in Hollywood anymore.
Yeah.
They got this big Western section. They technically own all the Wizard of Oz stuff, except they don't own that MGM movie that was originally. MGM still owns that. They did that James Franco
Yep.
Great and Powerful Oz, so there could have been an option for that. Not saying I want that, but
They could have done an Alien Covenant section. They could have done
they could have updated the Alien
section,
Yeah,
maybe an Alien 3 or Alien 4.
So just a section where you're just running away in a linear from a falling debris. And don't get me started on Alien Covenant. I'll just finish that.
We'll have to do a review show.
Yeah.
I'm giving you these softballs, Wyatt. Jeez.
Well, speaking of another classic gone by, we've got a tribute movie coming out. Kenneth, talk to me about Batman versus Two-Face.
Okay, so Batman versus Two-Face is the latest DC Warner's animated movie that's coming out this year, and it's got a great voice cast. It comes out October 17th, and it's kind of right now in the comics they're doing Batman 69, so I think that this was part of their take on it, was to try to make this into a new animated movie. And so basically Two-Face was never a villain in the show, so he I believe is a villain in the comic series right now, and now he's the main villain in this animated movie, which is called Batman versus Two-Face. But what's great about it is the voice cast. Okay, we've got the late Adam West reprising his role as Bruce Wayne and Batman. We got Burt Ward back as Dick Grayson Robin. William Shatner as Harvey Dent and Two-Face.
Oh,
so
no.
I think they went off like, hey, if Two-Face was in the Batman TV series originally in the 60s, who would have been a great Two-Face? And I guess they said William Shatner would have probably been a great Two-Face back then. So he's in it. We've got Julie Newmar back as Catwoman. I don't know how much she's in the film. And then there's a couple other voice actors, like Steven Weber is the voice of Alfred, and there's some other voice actors in it, but those are the big names that popped out to me. But it's got the style, the design of that 60s show, which I grew up on. I watched it. I watched that one that they considered Batman the movie, where he's running around with a bomb. I watched that a bunch as a kid. And it's got a special place in my heart. As an adult, the magic's gone.
You start to see the camp. Well, they intended to. It wasn't that they were making this straight. They intended it to be.
No, it was supposed to be a comedy. Yeah.
Yeah. So just having that is just a wonderful. It is. I love Batman, the 60s Batman, and I own the entire series. I own the movie on Blu-ray.
Yeah. Now, I think IGN broke the trailer for this guy just this last week, and it's got that same style and feel to it, and the nostalgia's there, but so are the silly plots, like the giant machine contraptions that they trap Batman in and stuff like that. The Shakespeare head, the Batcave. It's all this. It's there.
Yeah, it's the TV show.
Yeah, it's just hitting that nostalgia button for me.
I'm really kind of excited, and like you said, this was the last performance of Adam West. What did they? I don't know I think Adam West did he call himself the Bright Knight instead of the Dark Knight? Was that what they called him?
I don't know about that. I don't know. This is the first time I'm hearing this. Maybe I'm out of the loop.
Oh, I could have sworn whenever they were doing tributes and stuff like that, they called him the Bright Knight. versus the
Oh,
Dark
okay,
Knight.
maybe, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Just because, I mean, he was definitely in the realm of Batman right now. I mean, I guess Batman the Brave and the Bold, is that the cartoon series? That's a little bit more kitschy and kind of in the vein of the 60s show. But most Batman today is, gruffly voice.
So it's nice to get some of this back into the history of Batman.
Yeah, that Silver Age kind of idea coming back. Talking about something that is coming back, Richard, talk to us about, you've got a follow-up for us about Night Trap.
Yeah, so last week we talked at length about Night Trap, the infamous Sega CD game.
It's so good.
It's so good. Where you're protecting a sleepover of girls from some kidnappers. Well, we mentioned that it was going to be available in physical copies as well as digital downloads. Well, this week they have announced that the physical copies will be limited to 5,000. There will be 2,000 copies on PC and 3,000 physical copies for the PS4. And these physical copies for 25-year-old Night Trap will set you back $55.
I called it. I said it was going to be full price.
A full price video game 25 years later with bonus features and behind the scenes and deleted scenes and all that.
And they're all sold out.
Are they?
The PS4 version is sold out. The limited run collector's edition is sold out.
Wow.
It looks like the 25th anniversary PC is still available.
Now you can still get it. You can still get a digital copy, and
Yeah.
Xbox players will have to get theirs on digital, their digital edition, which will be available on August 11th. Today, look at that.
That is so crazy that that's already sold out. I mean, there definitely is something here. Then, well, I mean, I was gonna go order this.
I'm wrong on
Yeah.
I'm wrong on that. It's available this week, August 15th. But yeah, the physical order was, geez, what is today? It was you could order it on the 11th, but the digital copy will be available on the 15th for Night Trap.
Yeah, and it looks like the original, like a poster of the original cover. Obviously, you guys that are sitting at home can't see the original cover, but if you go to the show link, you'll be able to see how great it is. It's kind of this.
It's really great because apparently on eBay you can get an original copy, and it's the bid is $250 right now. Yeah. But man, this poster is amazing. It is amazing. Now this brings up Kenneth, do you have any connection with this movie? Because not this movie, excuse me. I mean, it is kind of a movie. I mean, look at it.
No, I've never even heard about this till I heard you guys talking about it. I looked it up, and sure enough, it actually existed. I was familiar with that era of gaming, obviously the Sega CD, and then the whole filming things for video games. Like I think one of the Star Wars games, like I don't know if it was TIE Fighter 2 or
no, it was Rebel Assault 2.
Okay, yeah, they had a bunch of stuff, and it was like one of the, or if not the first ones to do that. And so I was aware that these kinds of games existed, but dang, I wish I had gotten one of these.
Well, I mean,
physical copies.
Well, yeah,
I missed it
now, because if I had rented this with the Sega CD, I think my parents would have, my mother especially,
yeah, the cover
would have just blown a gasket if she saw me playing this. But this brings up an interesting issue. Now, I don't know if that you guys are into it, but there has been a resurgence over the past, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years of watching really bad movies. I mean, it's been going on longer than that, because I remember like Mystery Science Theater 3000 and just ripping on old movies, even in high school and stuff like that. It seems that there seems to be a little bit of a resurgence of that lately with The Room and some of these other bad movies. Do you think that are we getting into an era where now video games are getting the same kind of treatment?
I think so. I mean, you look at what Nintendo's doing with the SNES and the NES and hopefully the N64. Now, those are probably the best sellers and the good games, but I think it's going to open the door for all these, there's always going to be this guy out there that's got a bunch of money that's working at some software company or something that has the rights to this. That was like, I remember playing this game and nobody knew about it. So I think that they're.
But I can't imagine that this game is actually fun to play.
I don't know. I mean, I remember some fond memories of like terrible games. So you never know.
but is it something like never go back, never try those things, because if you try them, they're going to be awful.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if I got my hands on a hard copy of this game, I'd probably never even open it because I could just buy it on the PS4 digital and just have this as a collector's item. But they're already going for over $100 to $200 on eBay right now. So
that is insane.
You can still get your copy.
I can still get my copy. I'm just gonna have to. I'll be with Richard with the NES Classic.
And you can get an original one too. For like $35, but you got to have a Sega CD.
Move on to my first story of the week. And this one is just to let our Legion, know about the solar eclipse that's happening on the 21st. Do you guys know about this?
I do.
Okay.
As I tried to buy glasses today, and they're all sold out around the country.
Yeah, and you have to be careful about the glasses because there's a couple like Gizmodo and stuff like that have reported that Amazon is cracking down on fake solar eclipse glasses. And if you don't know, looking at the sun is bad for your eyes. It's bad for your children's eyes. So don't do it.
Yeah.
And also buy from reputable people.
Yeah, I believe NASA and like the National Astronomy Association or something has like an approved list. Yes. Just Google.
Well, I'll put it in the show notes. I'm going to put the link to it's eclipse2017.nasa.gov. I'll put in the show notes just about what the eclipse is, and also the cool thing it has, because it's going to pass over the continental U.S., but it's not everywhere. Not everywhere in the U.S. is going to get 100%. Actually, nobody's going to get 100%, I think. Well, yeah.
No, they are.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, it's in certain cities, and then it kind of radiuses out from there. It's kind of a small.
I think where I'm at, where we are, it's going to probably be in the 75% cover the sun range, I think.
Correct. Yeah, we're around the 75% mark.
But I was also reading about some of these cities that the 100%'s in, some of the bigger cities have started to see like an influx of, people are flying in or traveling in just for this, obviously.
Oh, yeah. I've talked to 3 people that are making trips they're flying to Denver and then they're driving to Nebraska and then somewhere else. They're kind of all going different places now. And then 2 of these guys are just going. And then the third one's a photographer. So he's going he's a freelance photographer. So he's going to go take pictures of it. But yeah, no, they're flying in and trying to find it. And the thing that they're worried about is cloud cover, because if the weather doesn't hold, you've spent all this money for nothing.
Yeah. One cloud,
and you're like, I can't see anything.
Well, I also read something about like some guy tracked down which flight on a certain airline was going to be passing through the 100% range at the right time, and he booked a flight on this specific airline's flight that's going from somewhere he doesn't live to another place he doesn't live, just to catch it above.
He's going to be sweating
above the weather
when they're at the gate and people are that one person's like, I don't want to check my bag, but there's no more headspace, sir. Like, no, I don't want to check my bag. He's like, we've got to get in the air. We have to.
Well, I'm going to try to I'm gonna try to get my hands on some of these glasses or goggles, whichever ones I can get, if they're the right ISO. But if not, I'll just check out a live stream.
And then also apparently there's supposed to be like another eclipse in like another 5 years or so that actually passes through Texas.
Yeah, so I'm looking at one. It looks like on April 8th in 2024, it swipes right across the center of Texas.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like, well, if I don't make this one.
Yeah, but then they start to get farther and farther apart. Then you're looking at 20 years, and then, things get interesting.
But this is the first total 100% eclipse of this type in like 40 years? Something like
since
that.
Since 1979.
Yeah,
so the last time we got a total eclipse in the U.S. So it's a big deal. It's a great experiment for kids and stuff like that of showing them that what's happening. That's what I really love about it, of really demonstrating that this huge world that we have, and that it extends out, and that the sun, the distance of the sun, the distance of the moon and Earth, and our perspective of it. And from what I've talked to a couple people that have gone through eclipses before, and they're like, yeah, no, it's crazy. Like the temperature drops like 20 degrees.
Oh, like, whoa.
When you're there, because and then like
the dead rise out of the grave.
Well, and then like the animals,
the flat earthers see the light.
Yeah. Well, then if you're out in the forest, because I was talking to the photographer, and he's up there in age, and this is not his first eclipse to photograph. And yeah, he was talking about I'm out in the woods, I'm out in the mountains and stuff like that, and you can hear the animals freaking out a little bit because they're used to the sun. They have their internal clocks are pretty good, and they're like all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what's going on? So they get a little scared and stuff like that because they don't understand. It only lasts like 3 hours, and the total eclipse only lasts like 20 minutes.
Hail Satan!
But
I remember
it is a little interesting, but again, it's a great time to start explaining to kids what's going on, the science, the structure of the solar system, and then have a real world example that you can kind of build up to. It's an event, which is awesome. Well, my next story actually deals with a breakup, a sad breakup of Disney and Netflix. Apparently, Disney wants to start their own streaming service, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, siloing. Everybody's getting their own. They're talking about starting their own service in 2019. So just a little over 2 years from now, we'll have Disney streaming, whatever that.
I'll have it.
That's right, Wyatt, you got 2 years to watch Doctor Strange.
All right. Now, after the Facebook got onto me, after the Legion got onto me, the wife and the kid were gone for the weekend. I have watched Doctor Strange.
All right.
So yes, huzzah! I have got through it. Yes.
Kudos to you. You've come to bargain.
Yes. So I have watched it, and it's good. I'm like, it's a solid Marvel movie. It's definitely a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I had seen it in theaters, just because it is crazy. And
some of the visuals,
I know the Legion's yelling at me like, yeah, no duh, we told you this. But that's fine. I finally got to it. Still haven't seen Ant-Man, though, and since it's not on Netflix, I'm not going to watch that anytime soon.
It's fine.
What I think's interesting about this Netflix Disney thing is first of all, I also read some updates on that report that Netflix is in kind of a hard negotiation with Disney to kind of see what they can retain of the Marvel movies and the Marvel stuff and the Star Wars stuff, because that could be a significant for either one of those services, and then for a while back, there was some rumors that Disney might buy out Netflix. About 6 months ago, I remember reading about that. There was these rumors going around. Well, I guess they just were either like, no way, let's make the deal and while you're paying us to have, our movies on your service, we'll just come up with our own service in the back end.
Now, my question to this is, what happens to the Defenders? What happens to Daredevil and Jessica Jones? Disney is in bed with Netflix hard right now.
Well, I think at any rate, those, I don't know. I think that they'll for sure stay on Netflix because Netflix, I believe, had some.
Because those are branded as Netflix originals.
I would assume there's some perpetuity deal with those TV shows, but you never know. But maybe we could see a situation where it's on both. It's on Netflix and the Disney app with these shows. But they've always been.
But that significantly hurts
subtitles
Netflix
as
to do that.
the Netflix Marvel shows. So who knows?
Yeah, but I mean that significantly hurts Netflix.
What it means is you'll never see Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist in the Avengers. they are now forever separate.
Well, were they ever?
No, they were.
This is Kenneth. I don't think those were ever in the Avengers, though, or not to this point. I don't think.
I think. I mean, you're talking about like in the comics.
Yeah, in the comics, even.
Yeah, they've all made appearances here and there.
But they've been a part of the actual team, not just appearing in the comics, but a part of the Avengers.
Well, yeah, like in the comics, yeah.
Okay. But,
whether it's like West Coast Avengers or this Avengers, they're all been affiliated with the Avengers. I believe all of them at some point.
Avengers Inc. Gotcha.
Right. I mean, there's so many different issues of the Avengers stories over the years, and like Jessica Jones is the latest character, the newest created character, but for the longest time, Hollywood and Marvel was running rampant saying like, we've got this completely universe and yeah, the TV shows are part of it. But as just as the world turns, it's not looking like that. They're going away from each other. They're not interweaving as much. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. tried to do it. They mentioned things from the movies. The Netflix shows mention things from the movies. The big green guy.
Yeah, I swear, if they mention the incident in New York,
time. But there's never really any cross-pollination. It's definitely not anything from the TV shows that ends up in the movies. And that, I think, has to do with Marvel Studios as the film company, and then there's Marvel TV. And they're kind of ran still as two different companies almost,
Well, all right then.
But anyway, I think what's super interesting about this, Disney's already almost halfway there, I think, with like Disney Movies Anywhere, which they kind of service to all the streamers like Vudu, Apple TV. You buy a Disney movie, you put the code in, Disney Movies Anywhere.
And don't they already have their own app that you can?
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure that I have that on my the family iPad where we can go in there and we can see all the Disney movies that we've purchased.
I think what this is going to be really great for is for Disney TV shows and old movies or old cartoon specials or old cartoon shorts that make it to DVD every once in a great while in a compilation, or Disney Channel TV shows that I had as a kid that you can't find anymore. Maybe I have hope that they could show up on, because they're just going to be looking for content.
You're just hoping for the Three Amigos.
Well, the Three Caballeros.
That one.
We have that. I think it's on Apple.
Okay.
Well, no, the question is, will they open up the vault? Because one of the things that Disney has done really well over the years is minimize the amount of product in the market because
right.
Like, I want Lion King. Well, good luck finding Lion King for under $200 on DVD because it's a rare commodity until they open up the vault.
Well, I think it depends on how they're going to make their service function. Is it going to be a subscribed thing where you are paying and it's like a Netflix and what's there is there? Or are you going to be able to sync or merge your Disney Movies Anywhere account where when you purchase a disc, you put the code in, you've got it, or can you just purchase it there like you can on Apple TV or some of these other...
I would assume that they're going to do some kind of streaming service, because if they're leaving Netflix, then if they were just doing their own marketplace where you could buy whatever you wanted to watch, they already have that. They don't have a place where you can go and stream content. Now, you're right. It may be something like almost Amazon has with Amazon Prime, where this is the Amazon Prime library. You have access to that. If you bought something on Amazon Video, you also have access to that.
Yeah, I think where that's going to be a tough decision for Disney, because if it's just a streaming service, where you can stream what's there, Apple TV or Apple products are going to let you put their app on it. But if it's like going to compete with the Apple Store, they might not let you put it on there. Same thing with maybe PlayStation.
Yeah, but I mean, Apple has started to concede, because Amazon Videos, that's coming to the Apple TV Next Gen, which is coming out like in September. They're opening it up quite a bit, and Disney and Apple have been in bed with they've been very friendly with each other for a long time. So I think that would be an easy get for Disney. Now, to you guys, what could they bring to the table that would make you go, yes, another $10 a month service? I'm into that.
Yes, I'm into a $10 a month service. I would love to see something that did kind of, if you had a Disney Movie Anywhere account, that didn't have to jump between apps, that it would you could see your content and streamable content. I don't want to jump between apps to get the same from the same provider. That's my contention. But $10, yeah, something
So
in the
you'd be
Hulu,
fine with
Netflix.
having another service. Like Richard, what about you? Can you say, yeah, I'll sign up for another service? Like, this is worth it.
Yeah, I think if it had all the Disney stuff in one spot, TV shows, movies, present, past. I mean, Disney's got 80 years to pull from. I think $10 a month, get me in the vault, and you've got me. Yeah. Give me access to the vault. Like, make $10 a month in the vault, and that's the key to the vault. I'm in.
Now, that's going to be the question to me, is like, are they going to let me into the vault? Are they going to let me see, okay, for $10 a month, I get Dumbo, I get Cinderella, I get Lion King, I get Aladdin, I get all the classics.
I get Song of the South. I get Come on, Disney.
Those crows, man, they were catchy.
Well, that was Dumbo.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Oh, that was Dumbo. That's right. I barely remember. I don't even think I actually saw Song of the South.
It falls in the same category. You're not far off.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's move on to movies out this week. But I think we're going to broaden the category because there is not much out this week. We've got 2 movies out that are just for adults, not really for the kids. One's The Hitman Bodyguard. The Hitman's Bodyguard. Anybody want to talk about that? That's the Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds.
I mean, I've seen the trailer for it, and I think it looks decent for what it is. But I, to be honest with you, I'm not really that interested in seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the end of the summer. It's not a buddy cop movie, but it's a buddy
But it feels
movie.
like it, yeah.
Yeah.
And this movie, like, to me, I just started seeing ads for this about a week ago. And to me, that's a red flag. Like, if a movie sneaks up on you and you are suddenly seeing advertising for it, like they haven't been pimping it for 3 months, something's not right. So, I mean, it looks fun. I mean, I like the idea of Deadpool and Nick Fury running around, having a nice romp. But I mean, I'll wait. I'll Redbox it.
All right. Well, and I'm gonna put your fear, give you even more fuel for your fears, Richard. It's only getting a 3,000 theater release, which if the Legion out there, if you don't know, that is not a wide release. That is a pretty small release. So
that lines up with their advertising. So
they don't have a lot of faith
surprised.
in it. Sounds like.
Yeah. Well, plus, and it's coming out in middle of August, which is not the best. It's the end of the summer. There's not really much to compete with it, and yet it's still not making a lot of noise. So next we have Logan Lucky. Any interest in seeing this one? This is the Soderbergh movie. That's it's like a caper movie.
After everything we just said about Hitman's Bodyguard, this one actually has a reason to be kind of what do they call it? The kind of maybe a summer surprise. I think this one will...
A sleeper?
Yeah, a sleeper hit. Because I saw the poster for this when it was just, they were just branding Daniel Craig. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, well, this is way more than just Daniel Craig. This is Channing Tatum and Kylo Ren and...
Yeah, Adam Driver, yeah.
Seth MacFarlane?
That's right. Seth MacFarlane's in it. And,
Dwight Yoakam?
Rachel Dawes. And,
well, what I love...
Rachel!
I relate this especially because it's Steven Soderbergh. This is white trash Ocean's 11. This is... Because what they're doing is that they're trying to knock off... it's a bunch of criminals trying to steal the prize money or the ticket sales from a NASCAR race. Like that's awesome. I love it.
But they are currently Soderbergh is producing a knockoff of Ocean's 8 or something. That's the all-female Ocean's movies too.
Well, yeah, Soderbergh just figured out, he's like, you know what, I like making these heist movies and they make a lot of money, so I'm just going to keep making these.
Heist movies is like one of the greatest genres in Hollywood. I mean, I think that I've got some fond memories of heist movies. There's always,
well, we had Baby Driver earlier this summer.
Yeah, there's always either some just great action scenes, great character moments, or an M. Night Shyamalan twist that's better than an M. Night Shyamalan twist. In some heist movies, always that thing that makes you go, oh, that's how they did it. So they've already sold me on this movie. They had me at Soderbergh, and then this has just got a stellar cast.
So what separates this movie from the previous movie we just mentioned for you guys?
Well, one, the idea is original. It feels a little bit more original. It feels a little bit more interesting than... what was the other one called? The Hitman's Bodyguard.
It's right there.
I know, it's right there in front of me, and I can't remember. For me, I also find how this is being distributed really interesting. So just a little backstory. Steven Soderbergh retired from filmmaking a couple of years ago. Well, you can't see me making air quotes.
A regular Miyazaki.
Retired, air quotes, retired from filmmaking.
A regular Jordan.
The reason that he said that he did that is because he was sick and tired of working with the studio system and working with kind of, a bunch of executives that didn't necessarily know how to make films, didn't really like films, liked looking at spreadsheets and testing everything and marketing things. And he didn't really like the way that some of his movies were being marketed.
Right.
And he thought that was a huge issue, that why maybe the performance wasn't doing as well. So he decided to do it on his own. So that's kind of something that
our viewers may not be aware of, that like the filmmaker usually has no control over the marketing of their film. Unless you're David Fincher, who works it into his contract or something.
Well, and that's what Soderbergh is looking towards. This, I can guarantee you that there are a lot of our tour directors out there that are looking at what he's doing, because what Soderbergh basically did was he's making it, and also more importantly, he's distributing it through his own company. So he's retaining control all the way through the process. So he's basically sidestepped the studios, went directly to investors, raised money, then went to the distributors directly, and he actually tried to go directly to the theater owners, but there's this thing with the federal government that they don't really like that. So, because that's actually like movie history that the studios used to actually have that. The studios used to actually own all the theaters, and they, got broken up because of that. So he couldn't do that, but he could go directly to the distributors. He sold the international rights. He basically made some really good deals. Apparently maybe he read The Art of the Deal. I don't know. But he made some good deals. He raised the money, and now he's out there doing his own marketing, doing and pitching the movie, and doing it in a much different way. Because one of the things is that, funny enough, this movie, like, I'm not kidding, it looks like Ocean's 11. It's a Southern Ocean's 11, and what would be the market for this? It would probably be people that live in the South, the people that would connect with these characters. So where do you put his marketing money? He put it in the South, where traditionally movies don't put that much money. A lot of them put posters and stuff like that and marketing money in LA and New York. Now, what good does that do to have because I don't know you guys have been to LA, I'm guessing. Have you guys been to LA? Yeah, you've been to LA. Like, you go through and there's like, there's posters everywhere on billboards and on buses and on sides of buildings for movies and TV shows that I'm like, what? Is that a show? And a lot of that is just prestige. A lot of that is just the people, they want to see their show, these executives and stuff like that. They kind of put that money there for their own, to pump themselves up. It's not necessarily the best business decision. So Soderbergh's making better business decisions, and I hope that because of that, they're putting the money out there. And I'm based in Texas, or we're all based in Texas, and I really haven't seen much for this movie. I wish I had seen.
Soderbergh's always kind of really been both behind the scenes and then also in the filmmaking aspect of it, but like you're saying in the whole part of getting a film produced and distributing it, he's always been an innovator in how things are done with his pictures. A lot like I would say Fincher is. And, he's no stranger to, this genre. So I think that it's got a lot going for it right there. I don't even, need to see a trailer to sell me on the idea of this movie. But the trailer just looks great too. So.
Yeah, and knowing that like the cast and stuff like that work for scale, which means that they work for like the minimum that they can legally with their unions, that tells me that they had a lot of faith in it. And I think also there's another model that he did with them, basically that, look, you'll work for scale and you'll get a percentage of the cut if we make money with this. So
the old Robert Downey Jr.
Right. Well, they're a little bit more invested in the movie being good versus them making a good amount of the paycheck and then just walking away. Because there's so many movies that you look at the budget and you're like, that's amazing. That's a huge budget. And then you find out, like Robert Downey Jr., I think made $40 million off of Captain America or Captain America Civil War. He made $40 million. That has like a $240 million budget. So, so 40 went to Robert Downey Jr. alone. So that leaves 200. Well, you can't tell me that Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson didn't take a good chunk themselves. Probably not 40.
Well, I think that he has that. I think Downey Jr.'s though isn't out of the budget. It's all out of he has that percentage deal with the box office. So that's why he makes 40. So much is because he's getting points on how much it makes in the theater. And that was first done on the Avengers or after the Avengers, when his contract was up and he was like renegotiating or for the Avengers, and he made a lot of money. And he's on the top of the list every year for the highest paid because you put Iron Man in a movie and it's going to make some money.
That is just insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, moving on to the small screen, since we don't really have anything for the kiddos or for you to watch with your kids on the big screen, something coming out on the 18th is Dino Trucks Season 5 on Netflix. I don't know about you guys, but in my house, Dino Trucks are a big hit. And so I'm excited to see different episodes because I am sick and tired of watching the 4 seasons.
What is Dino Trucks? I've never even seen this.
Oh, Dino Trucks? You've never seen Dino Trucks? Let me tell you about Dino Trucks. Dino Trucks are dinosaurs.
Is it on Netflix?
Trucks. It is.
Okay.
I think it's a Steven Spielberg joint.
Okay.
Let's see. Dino Truck. How do you not?
Yeah, it's
know about
DreamWorks.
Dino
Yeah.
Trucks? Yeah. So yeah, it's DreamWorks and stuff like that. So it's, it's not Shakespeare, but it's a good, solid show. And it combines the two things that little boys like most: trucks and dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's what
it's a
dads
huge
like
hit in
most
my
too.
house.
Hey, Wyatt,
Exactly.
if you like Dino Trucks, I would suggest checking out. Are you familiar with what is it?
Truckosaurs?
No, it's Dirty and Stinky on Amazon. Dirty and Stinky. It's about a backhoe and a backhoe, bulldozer, and a dump truck, a garbage truck, and it's based on a book series actually. And anyways, I saw this in theaters, before the movies. And anyways, if you want to check out another show, plus it's based on a book, so you can read to your kid. It's kind of a win-win.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's
out-
always a great thing to have, to be able to transition to bedtime. It's like, I don't want to go to bed. It's like, well, read Stinky and Dirt.
You might learn something. It justifies, watching 4 seasons over and over and over again.
Oh, good, because I don't think that there's anything that we learned from Dino Trucks.
Besides how to be awesome.
Exactly. Well, moving on, staying in the Netflix vein, we got a lot of Netflix news today, but The Defenders finally coming out on the 18th.
Yeah.
Are we excited about this, gentlemen?
We are excited.
I wasn't terribly excited. I knew it was coming. I've seen all the other shows, but I turned on Netflix yesterday, and right at the top it was playing a trailer, and it was like had a countdown, like 6 days, and I was like, all of a sudden I was excited. I was like, yes, 6 days I get to watch The Defenders, and I didn't really anticipate that I would be excited, but hey, I was.
I'm excited to see Daredevil in a hallway, just all 4 of them in a hallway. We've kind of gone over this before, and I think we're going to go over it again. Daredevil was great. Punisher was great. Luke Cage, I loved I loved the first half.
Punisher's coming. That's coming out.
Yeah, the Punisher series
But
is coming.
he was in Daredevil, right?
He was in Daredevil 2, season 2.
Is he in The Defenders?
I don't think he's part of it, but I hope he shows
He could
up.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
I kind of feel like they're keeping him as like a rogue agent that he'll just kind of, it's kind of like Elektra, just keep bouncing him in and out of the story.
Well, and I guess so while we're at it, Wyatt, how many of these Netflix series have you watched?
Come on now.
Let me call you out.
I was about to comment. I was like, well, I'm halfway through Daredevil season 1.
Okay.
So and that's it.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
All right.
Well, are you gonna?
I just got through Strange. That's it.
Well, Wyatt, for somebody that hasn't seen everything, do you think you'd watch them all, or would you maybe just jump on the Defenders and see?
I think I may just jump to the Defenders because.
And if you get hooked, go back and watch everything else.
Yeah, I might do Jessica Jones just because everybody.
Have you not done Jessica Jones?
I have, dude. Daredevil, half of season 1. That's where I'm at.
Jessica Jones is one of the best, and it's primarily because the villain in Jessica Jones. Now, the villain in Daredevil, Kingpin, he's great too. But the villain in Jessica Jones, he is one of the best villains, I think, since like Loki in the Marvel, in Marvel's cinematic or television universe, because it's David Tennant, and he's so entertaining.
Well, I think Kristen Ritter is actually really good in that series
she
too.
is, absolutely.
As not only as that character, but just the turmoil that her character is in.
Like, how many episodes are we talking about here?
I think there's 13 episodes in like each one of these.
Standard, yeah.
All right, look, Netflix, go down to 6. Take the same amount of money.
Well, I think
just compress them to 6.
Is Defenders 8? Is Defenders a full 13?
I don't know. I have no clue on that.
I'll tell you right now. You know what my biggest joy has been over the past 2 weeks? It's been that new Castlevania on Netflix, because it's like 4 episodes that are 20 minutes long. I've finished it because it's 4 episodes that are 20 minutes long. I can do that. I can't sit down for 14 hours and get invested in something. I don't have that kind of time.
Well, I think it's possible that the Defenders. I don't know. I'm looking here on Wikipedia.
Defenders is 8. It's gonna be 8. It's a miniseries.
Yeah,
like 8 I could do. That's the thing. Like, do the BBC model.
My only thing is, if you jump at the, if you are where you are and you jump into Defenders, there's gonna be some spoilers going on.
Yeah. So the Be Aware Legion, if you're in the same boat as our host here, you probably jump into Defenders because it looks cool, or you just start watching it. It might spoil you, but I think for those people that are in the same boat as Wyatt, and I can understand, 13 episodes, you got 2 seasons of Daredevil.
Yeah,
but I'm
and
pretty
I guess
familiar with all these characters.
If you're
from the
familiar
comics.
with the characters and the lore,
then who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Jump right in.
Just called me out.
I'm excited for it. I think it would be great. I think it would be great to maybe us watch it and have a little Legion review show on the episodes once we
see
wipe
now
them
that
out.
I could probably do just because okay, you gave me that's work. I gotta fit that into my day, so I'll figure out how to do that at 3:30.
And it's only 8 episodes.
It's just 8. Yeah, it's just 8 hours of my day. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's right.
How about this, Legion? If you want to hear a review show on the Defenders, hit us on Twitter, hit us on Facebook, or the email legionofdads@gmail.com. Or if you think that Wyatt should not watch it and be forced for the podcast to watch every episode of all the other ones first, then watch Defenders, let us know.
Or what should Wyatt watch? For me, I think the first half of Luke Cage is great. I love the music. I love just kind of the atmosphere and the neighborhood it's all set in. I love the feel of the show. But the other half of the season just goes off the rails.
Yeah, I need a super cut, or I need an episode list of all right, hit episode 4, 7, and 9.
Exactly.
Daredevil, hit
I'm
episode
sure
1, 2, and 4 of Luke Cage.
I'm sure there's a listener out there right now telling us, those things do exist.
Yelling at their podcast.
There's probably
their speakers.
Honestly, there's 3 episodes of Iron Fist you should watch, maybe. Iron Fist, I feel, to me, is the one that has the most filler.
Well, I think we should put off talking about these Netflix shows just in case Wyatt does catch up when we do our Defenders show, and then if not, we can do a little mini review of each. Just a couple minutes on each one of these things before we get into the Defenders.
Yeah.
And maybe catch him up.
Legion, it's up to you. You tell me what to do, and I will abide by your decision. Moving on off of Netflix, and hopefully off of a week of me just sitting in a chair like Clockwork Orange with my eyes gouged open watching Marvel shows. Somebody talk to me about the Scientology documentary.
Yeah, so I threw this on here because I watched season 1 of the Emmy-nominated Leah Remini's Scientology and the Aftermath on A&E. I watched the entire first season. I found it completely fascinating.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. So back up, because I don't really know anything about this. I think I caught an episode her on with on the Late Show, but kind of talking about this. So this is actually season 2 is about to start.
This is season 2. They're going to get into the gritty details of harassment and abuse and just some of these that's what the season 2 appears to be setting up is some of these testimonies from victims who have been hurt by the Church of Scientology.
Yeah, and for those viewers out there that have never watched the show, basically, Leah Remini, actress, she was in King of Queens. I remember her from Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, the beach season.
Yeah, the beach season. She was a Scientologist for years. She ended up leaving the church, air quotes.
The organization. Yeah.
Yeah. And then at that point, I think she started to become aware of some of the things that she wasn't privy to that was going on behind the scenes, and to other people that had a shared experience as her when she did leave. And I guess through her Hollywood power, hooked up with A&E, they made a little documentary series talking to other people who had experiences with Scientology members and how they were treated if they left, or how they were treated more importantly when they were in the organizations.
And she does this show with one of the guys that does the show with her. He used to be the head of, basically, he was in charge of ruining people's lives that left Scientology.
What's his name? Like, was it Reardon or something?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I don't remember. He's an Australian gentleman. It was his job to ruin people's lives. He's out now, and so he's in the show. I mean, the people that have come through this, I mean, they're traumatized, they're victims, and they're both doing their best.
Mike Render,
to make up for the past, and they're trying to free people. And she came out recently and said that her goal of the show is to get the FBI investigating some of these abuses.
Yeah, because when I saw her on the interview, she was throwing around cult. I mean, she was throwing around some really heavy.
Well, and I mean, season 2 is going to be those heavy things.
Yeah, I think that the show kind of does a good job of getting you into some of the inner workings of what this person dealt with. But just to kind of do a tiny little offshoot, HBO has a documentary called Going Clear that is just a 2-hour or under documentary about the whole what is Scientology. Period. And, as a person who's watched this series and I watched that documentary, I would recommend watching them both to get the full scope of really, because I think the documentary delves into a little more of the practices, and then the show does a great job of talking about how it affects people.
Yeah. So. And I've been hoping that would come onto Amazon Prime. It hasn't yet, but season 2 for Leah Remini starts on Tuesday, and that's when she's going to dive into some of these personal. You're going to get story after story of people who have been victimized and abused, and like I said, season 1 was just fascinating television, and I'm looking forward to season 2.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait I'm going to have to check that out, see if I can find season 1. I've been interested in this topic ever since South Park did their little 4-minute explanation of what Scientologists really believes. And if you haven't seen that, I really recommend going on YouTube and finding that, because it is hilarious and scary at the same time.
I'm sure if you tune into A&E just any time in the next 48 hours, they're going to be running a marathon probably all week long.
Well, that's assuming that if you have cable, which I do not.
Oh,
so
fair enough.
Well, let's move on to RecommenDADtions. Kenneth, what do you have for us this week?
All right. So my RecommenDADtion or RecommenDAD is a little bit of a product placement, but I recently picked up and did some research, but I picked up the Apple iPhone battery case for my iPhone 6S. And this is the official Apple version of a battery case. And I did a little bit of research, or a lot of research, before I settled on purchasing this specific battery case. But I was charging my phone like twice a day. I use it a lot for work and for fun. I've got the kids sometimes picking it up, and the reason I went with this official Apple product is, number one, it's one of the thinnest ones as far as an extra battery for your phone. It's going to just basically give you double charge. But secondly, it uses a lightning cable. You put this, it's basically a case you put on your phone. It plugs into the bottom of your lightning cable. And now the case has a lightning cable in the bottom. You plug it in, your lightning cable now charges your phone and the battery at the same time. A lot of the other cases out there, well, they have their pros and cons. Some of them have QI charging. None of them really supported lightning cable, which I have a ton of lightning cables around for charging my iPhone. So I wanted something that was super user friendly for me in terms of what I already had in place. And this is just, I've had it for a couple weeks now, and I love it.
Excellent. Well, that's a good thing, because I never actually really thought about that, because I've looked at, I don't have one. I usually just have these little USB, charging packs that I have like all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't have a case for it. And that's interesting. That's a really good point that you bring up about the Lightning, because a lot of the other ones, it seems like they have some kind of either micro USB or even USB-C, which some of the Apple products, I mean, I guess if you're got a new Apple MacBook, you may like the USB-C, but if you're just a stock iPhone guy, you've got Lightning everywhere. So that's something really to keep in mind. That's a good point that I hadn't really thought about.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a couple of other ones that are, like Mophie makes some that have like QI charging, which is just like kind of the wireless charging. You put it on a pad, it starts charging up, and it'll charge your, it'll go through and charge your phone. Then there's some where like
in 12 hours.
Yeah,
that's the problem with
and
those
then
things. It takes forever.
Some of the cases like don't even plug into your phone. You plug it in when you want the power, like a battery pack, which is a cool feature. But I just wanted something that just kind of worked, and I didn't have to constantly fiddle with it. And I felt like, Apple thought about that. You just put the case on. It's a bumper style silicone case that covers the whole phone with a super thin battery on the back.
And something else that you probably need to think about, and Apple obviously would have put this in there, is that whenever something that I'm always concerned about is where the charge is going to go. And
right.
If I'm sure the Mophie and some of the more reputable packs make sure that they're not going to burn out your internal battery. But that's something that you have to really consider. Like, is this external battery going to mess up my phone because I have it charged in?
And that's a good point, because the way this guy works with the Apple is that it's going to always use your case battery first. Then once your case battery goes down to zero, it starts using your phone's actual built-in battery. And like I said, if you were to plug this guy in and you only had 50% on your phone and your case was down to zero, it's going to charge both of them at the same time, which is a really great feature. I think some of these other ones don't really do that. They're going to charge up your phone and then charge the case, or one or the other. And I really loved that feature. I could just, set it and forget it.
Excellent.
Shake and bake.
I like shake and bake. What else does it do, Ron?
Yeah.
Well, Richard, what do you have for us this week for the Legion?
Yeah, so this week I decided to go with an app for my iPhone called Cashly. And what this app is if you're familiar with geocaching, which is something I hadn't done before until earlier this year. We went on a Cub Scout camp out. We were going to do some geocaching, and I'd used some apps before.
What is geocaching?
So geocaching, what it is, it's like a treasure hunt that uses GPS. So in the real world. So you go out and for example, we went to a local park, and it's we all pulled up this free app on our phones, and we were just, you go to any park and you can kind of log in, and you'll see that there's caches available, and it'll tell you how far away they are and in what direction. And so you just start heading in that direction. And then once you get to the general vicinity within 3 yards or whatever, you start looking around, and then you may, if everything works right, you'll stumble across some sort of box or container that's been hidden. And oftentimes when you open it up, there's maybe a little pad for you to fill out that, hey, I was here. Maybe there's you take something, you can leave something. Anyways, it's just a real fun thing to do with kids outdoors. So I had tried some previous free apps, and they were fine, but I decided to jump onto Cashly, which is $5 in the iTunes store, and it's just been great. I mean, and you can go out there and you can add your own caches. I mean, my son and I, we were just at a park. It was just a park, and I pulled my phone out and was like, hey, let's see if there's a cache anywhere nearby. And sure enough, across the park at the corner of a neighborhood, hidden behind a fence post was a little aluminum container. I mean, we had to hunt it down, but it turns into this real cool scavenger hunt type deal in the real world, kind of a Pokemon Go, but for real world items. And it's just fun, and it's something you can do with your kids outdoors. And
so it's kind of like take a penny, leave a penny.
Yeah.
Or like when you go on a hiking trail, there's a little box where you can sign your name and your date that you hiked the trail or something.
Yeah. And we did this one with the Cub Scouts where, we were all we had like 5 kids looking under and over logs to find something. And you stumble across this ammo box, and you open it up, and it had this alarm that sounded. So it just ended up being just a lot
And then
of fun.
4 guys in full SWAT gear came out. It was
And then some
scary.
guy found the Cross of Coronado.
Exactly. Well, and another one we were hunting around.
And then a guy came up and goes, that belongs in a museum.
Yeah.
Exactly. Another one we did. We were on another trail at this same park, and we were looking everywhere. And turn around, we look up, and there was a camouflaged pill bottle hanging from a tree. So it's just you never know what you're going to find, and it turns out to be a whole lot of fun on a pretty day outdoors with the kids. And I mean, there's a bunch of geocaching apps out there. So you can try some free ones to get your feet wet. And then, anyways, I went with Cashly for $5 on iTunes.
So let me ask you this, Richard. Where is this? Is this like a centralized database? Where are these? Or if you get into Cashly, is Cashly have you get the Cashly geo tagging, or is it something that's kind of, there's a server somewhere where all these things are being hosted where you can get everybody's?
Yeah,
how does that work?
It's a little beyond my understanding, but it's more like there's a universal just database of GPS coordinates and caches, and all these apps log into that same universal database.
Yeah, geocaching.com.
Okay. Well, I've downloaded as we've been talking, so I'm definitely going to get into this because that sounds really interesting. And I've heard geocaching for a while now because in my family, we're all avid hikers and mountain bikers, and we really like going out there into the woods. And I've got, maybe that'll be a pick one day. I've got my backpack that my son goes into for long hikes, because he can hike for about, I don't know, like maybe a quarter of a mile, or if he's not feeling like it, 50 feet, and then I got to carry him, and he's like 39 pounds now. That's not an insignificant amount of weight.
That's a good workout.
Yeah, that's a really good workout for like a 7 or 8 or 10 mile hike. We usually don't do anything too crazy, but that's really kind of cool. And so, it's I just downloaded it on my phone.
And I mean, just whenever you're at a park or just just anywhere. I mean, you're at a picnic somewhere. I mean, pull it out, and you might be surprised that there's a geocache like in your neighborhood or something.
Yeah, that's gonna be really cool. It's kind of like a world underneath the real world kind of thing. Just this hidden world.
There's treasures.
The upside down.
Yeah, that's right. There's treasures hidden everywhere.
Awesome. Well, speaking of finding things, we have my recommendation for the week, which is tile. Do you guys lose stuff? I don't lose stuff as much, but my wife does.
Oh.
and I'm going to call her out on it. So I have the original tile, the Tile Mate, which is really great. But basically, it is a little Bluetooth device that sends out, a little Bluetooth signal for your phone. So if you lose your keys, you lose your dogs, you can go on your phone and you can track it. And the cool thing is that it creates like a mesh network with other tiles. So if your neighbor down the street or somebody else, so let's say that your tile, you put it in your wallet and you lose your wallet or you leave it somewhere and it gets out of range of your Bluetooth of your phone. Well, the next time that your tile comes in range of another tile, it will sync up and then let you know, hey, your tile, your wallet was just found over at this coffee shop.
In a geocache location.
In a geocache location. So I've put these, I've got a pack of these and I've kind of put them everywhere. And I love them because they'll also make a noise. You can ping them from your phone to make an audible noise. So you can find your keys, you can find whatever you need to do. I've really seriously, now that I've gone to their website again, they have the Tile Sport, which is their newest one, which is weatherproof. It's waterproof. I'm really thinking about putting those tags on my dogs because my two dogs really like to get out. And they're usually pretty good because they'll usually come back. Usually the only reason I know that they're gone is that I've let them out the back door and they found a way out. And then they come back to the front door and they scratch on the front door because it's easier to get in. So, but it would be nice to know if it also will give you a marker like, hey, your tile is out of range. Like it'll warn you. So it will warn me if the dogs get out, which is kind of nice. So they come in different styles and they've got the sport.
Or your kid.
Or, I'm not going to lie. I've thought about it, especially whenever we start going to like larger parks and stuff like that. I live in the city and we go to these parks and, I'm always keeping an eye on him. But I've thought about that. I've thought about, maybe just having something like this on him would not be a bad idea just in case, the worst thing in the world happened if somebody snatched him. Or if he got out of my sight, I could find him very easily. That's definitely something that I've thought about. I haven't done it yet, but
we don't
really
recommend this as a, but
I don't recommend.
You just
this,
did it.
Yeah. Well, I don't recommend this as this is your lack of
the
parenting.
use of it.
I don't think that you should. I don't think you should just jump on your phone and be like, "It's fine. My phone will tell me."
The tile, the babysitting app.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's still at home. He's fine.
He's fine. He's fine. I've got the video camera. I can log in. I can see like he's eating. He's got a fork and a knife and he's eating that steak. He'll be fine. So, but they're really cool. They're also, you can, they've got different versions of it, different versions. So I would just look into it. I think that these are really cool devices and they're fairly inexpensive. You can get like a pack of 4 of the base level one for, let's see, I'm gonna have to bring it up. I think it's like $50. You can get 4 of them. So it's, and they get a little bit more expensive as you get into the fashion one, the style type, but it's, maybe I should get that. Well, for some wives, my wife would definitely not like that. But
and how big are they?
They are a little bit bigger than a quarter.
Okay.
And they're really thin. They're about the size of like 2 credit cards put together. They're about that thickness.
Okay.
So they're not terribly thick. But yeah, so it's if you lose stuff a lot, maybe something to look into. So Richard, where can the Legion find us?
Yes, you can email us at legionofdads@gmail.com, like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, follow at Legion of Dads on Twitter, and like and subscribe to Legion of Dads on iTunes, or visit us on legionofdads.com.
Well, we like to end every episode with the joke of the week, our last laugh. Who has a good joke this week?
I threw one in there. Let me set it up. It's kind of a classic setup. So a ham sandwich walks into a bar, and the bartender says, "We don't serve food here."
All right, actually, that was kind of good. That one actually made me chuckle. Good night, Legion.